Today we will have a really fun topic. We will talk about culture shocks Germans experience when they move to the US, with many bars and clubs open late into the night. No, that is not right at all, I have to say. America's Got Germans! My name is Anni, welcome to my channel. Today we will have a really fun topic. We will talk about culture shocks Germans experience when they move to the US, and I have shared some of them in my videos before, but what is different today is that I ask an AI, an artificial intelligence kind of machine, which you can ask any kind of question and you get a very detailed answer. I hope I explained that right. Anyways, I have heard a lot about that before, but I have never tried it. But I have to admit that I kind of stole this idea from my friend MJ. I will link his channel in the description box below. He just uploaded a video and he asked that machine a different question, but I was so impressed of how much that machine knows that I really wanted to try it. And that's what I did today. So yeah, let's get started. ChatGPT, that's the AI I tried out, starts by saying, as a German living in the US, I experienced culture shock when I first arrived. Although both countries share similarities in many ways, there were still significant differences that took some time to adjust to. Well, yeah, that's true, but I have to say that's not a big surprise, because if you move to another country, of course, there will be culture shocks, bigger or smaller ones. You can even experience culture shock when you move within your own country. I experienced that moving to the south of Germany, but that's another story. So I think we need a little bit more details. The AI goes on by saying, one of the biggest culture differences I noticed was the concept of personal space. In Germany, people tend to keep a certain distance from each other when interacting, whereas in the US, people tend to be more outgoing and friendly. I had to get used to people striking up conversations with me in public places, which I found a bit overwhelming at first. Yeah, that is correct, because I come from a country where small talk is not in our everyday lives. We don't do that as much, and I struggled more of knowing what to say. And I was also afraid that people would perceive me as being rude, or that I come across in a different way that I'm trying to, because Germans or Americans sometimes think that Germans are very direct. So I really try to watch my words and what I'm saying, and I try to listen to other people doing small talk to know what to say, if that makes sense. So I was a little bit stressed in the beginning when small talk happened in public, but after a while I really learned to appreciate it. And I think what is so wrong with putting a smile on each other's faces and, you know, having a good time? I know that I really will miss that in Germany. Although I have to say that in the Boston area where we live, people are not that outgoing than maybe in other places of the US. So also within the US, I mean, it's a big country, there are differences, but still there was definitely a noticeable difference for me. But I also would like to add that sometimes Germans think that Americans are superficial, which I don't think as much anymore, because sometimes Americans just say it in a different way than we used to. So you don't only have to learn the words, you also have to listen to the tone, and then to read between the lines. So when two Americans talk to each other, they totally understand what the other person's saying. It's just because we as Germans think that we have to put everything out in a straight way that we don't understand. But that's, you know, our issue. So let's see what else this machine has to say. Another difference that caused some culture shock was the American work culture. In the US, people tend to work longer hours and have fewer vacation days than in Germany. Additionally, the pace of work can be faster, and there's often a greater emphasis on networking and self-promotion. Okay, here I need to rely a little bit on my husband's opinion and what he's sharing, and also what I learned from my American friend MJ, who's living in Germany. Well, I think it's true and not true. But in terms of longer hours, yes, Americans definitely work longer hours. And it's also a total normal thing that your boss is reaching out to you after work hours or during the weekend, which is in Germany more no-go. So we have a better or different understanding of work-life balance. So we work and then we have time off to recharge, which I think is very healthy. While here it is expected that you kind of read your emails in the evening and, you know, checking when you're on vacation if there's an emergency or whatever. So yes, that's true. The pace of work can be faster. I'm not sure about that because Germans don't do chit-chat as much. They don't focus so much on networking, so they cut more to the point directly. So I would assume that Germans are actually more efficient because they talk about business and that's it. And they try to move the project forward as fast as possible. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Let me know. And then self-promotion and networking, I think that's also true in Germany. I mean, it shouldn't be like that. But from my experience, you definitely have to have a great network and you have to be good with self-promoting yourself in order to get promoted, if that makes sense. So I did lunch dates with people I don't like, to be honest. I hope they don't watch. Anyway, so I think that's also true in Germany. Maybe it's a bit, or it's a greater emphasis here, but it's also true in Germany, I would think. Oh, I forgot to talk about vacation days. So before I moved here, I had the understanding, or that is what Germans think, that Americans only have like 10 vacation days or something, and Germany has a lot more. First of all, it depends on the company you're working for. And yes, Germans usually have 28, 30, 32 days if you are lucky. But that can also happen in the US. So not everyone has only 10 days of vacation, and it usually builds up. And I would say on average, they at least have 20 days. Let me know if I'm wrong. Plus, if there's a public holiday and it falls on a Sunday, so weekend, you will always have a day off the Monday after or the Friday before. So adding all of that up, I would say Americans don't necessarily have less vacation days, which was a huge surprise for me to learn. The only difference is that they usually don't like you to take like 2 or 3 weeks of vacation in a row, which is a normal thing in Germany. So we will go on a trip for 4 weeks in July, and that's okay. That's a no-go for most companies in the US. So yeah, that's a difference. Hey you, this is me talking, not the AI. I just would like to say thank you for watching today's video. It means a lot to me. If you would like to support me a little, it would mean a lot to me if you could hit this little subscribe button. You could leave me a comment or a thumbs up, because that way my channel can grow, and that's of course what I'm hoping for. So yeah, with that being said, let's go back to the video. What else? The food culture in the US was also a bit of a shock for me. Portions are generally larger than in Germany, and there's a wider variety of fast food options available. I had to adjust my eating habits to avoid overindulging in unhealthy foods. Well, yes and no. So yes, the portions are bigger, and yes, they serve a lot more fries and unhealthy food. I totally have to say that, especially when you go to a restaurant. Always something I complain about is the kids menu. They offer the same 5 things in every restaurant, and I wouldn't mind if they would just offer smaller portions of the other food for kids, but anyways, yeah, but they don't force you to eat it, so I think there's always a healthy option. I think it's more difficult if you a vegetarian or vegan, because most restaurants don't offer any option for you. So I think that's a bigger problem. And yes, you have to watch what you're eating, and a lot of things, there are so much more sugar, and I definitely gained. But I mean, that's because I also try things, and there are so many good things here. I really, love banana bread and cookies and stuff, and I mean, it's my responsibility what I'm eating. So there are definitely places where you can buy healthy food, and if you cook for yourself, whatever, you decide what you eat. But yeah, overall, I sometimes miss a little bit of a variety when you go to a restaurant, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that was my take on foods. It goes on by saying, finally, the cultural differences around socializing and partying were also noticeable. In Germany, it is common to go out and socialize in the evenings, but the focus is usually on drinking and conversations rather than dancing and partying. In the US, there's a greater emphasis on nightlife and entertainment, with many bars and clubs open late into the night. No, that is not right at all, I have to say. So first of all, everything closes down so early here. Like when you go to a restaurant or a bar, 11 p.m. On a Saturday, they close the place. Then there's nowhere else to go. And then in terms of clubbing, as far as I know, there are not a lot of clubbing places in Boston, or maybe I haven't found them. Anyways, they're more like bar kind of stuff, sports bar, where they have TVs everywhere. And not so much dancing, especially in my age. Maybe that's the issue here. But my friends and I never went out dancing. While in Germany, in Cologne, there are a lot of places, also people my age go out dancing. So I actually do miss that a little. It's not that I want to go clubbing every week, but I wouldn't mind once in a while. So I think it's the other way around. And on top of that, I also have realized, maybe that's only true for me and my friends in Germany, but I used to go out a lot more with my friends, having a drink or going to a restaurant to have a little bit of me time. While I feel Americans are a lot more family oriented. So as soon as they have a family, they stay with the family, they do everything with the family, and they don't do as much, in terms of me time, going out with friends and stuff. So I actually noticed it the other way around. But let me know. Maybe you live in a different place in Germany or in a different place in the US and I got it all wrong. I would love to hear what you experience or what you think. All right, let's hear the last thing this thing is saying. Despite the initial culture shock, I found that over time I was able to adapt to these differences and appreciate the unique aspects of American culture. I gained a deeper understanding of the country and its people, and I learned to appreciate the strengths of both American and German culture. That is actually so true, and my most favorite part of this thing. I have to agree 1000%. I really got to know the US on a deeper level. I appreciate Americans so much more. I had love for them before, I liked them before, but living in a country for a longer period of time makes you actually get to know them, of course, on a deeper level. And I learned so much, not only about Americans, but also about myself and my culture. So I wish everyone would have the opportunity to live abroad, to learn about other countries and about your own culture, your own beliefs. And sometimes it's also healthy to question a few things, which I did a lot. I grew a lot within the last 2 years. I hope I did, at least. So yeah, I would definitely say this was or still is the best time of my life. And I would do it again anytime, honestly. Okay, I think that's the end of my today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope I see you soon again. All right, so ChatGPT, that's the AI. So ChatGPT, that's the AI I used. Finally, the cultural differences around socializing.